Joining us this afternoon is Abiodun Sonaike, a sports lawyer who, of course, will be giving us insight on what might be the possible outcomes of this case. Good afternoon to you and welcome to In the Game.
Good afternoon and nice having you today back here.
All right, welcome back. And of course, let's go straight to business. I mean, the news, the court case has been adjourned to February 12th with the fans now 19 days in detention following the AFCON final incident, and seeing that, of course, the case has been adjourned. Realistically, what outcomes could emerge under the Moroccan law if convictions are secured, and what range of penalties are we looking at for the persons in detention?
Okay, I would say that, number one, let me first say that when you are entering a country, one of the conditions is that you have already told the country that one of the conditions for granting visa is that you have already told the whole country that you are ready to be subjected to their law. That means that all those Senegalese fans, the day they were applying for a visa to go to Morocco, they are already telling the Moroccan government that they are ready to be subjected to the Moroccan law. Therefore, they have to abide by the Moroccan law when they are here. So, the Moroccan government is actually in their rights to apprehend anybody that flouts the Moroccan law when they are getting there. And you know, the ignorance of the law is not an excuse. Of course, this kind of destruction should not be happening in football. Secondly, on the issue of Senegal as a country sending legal representation for their player, for their fans, I will say that law anywhere is territorial. The highest those lawyers will do is to give a legal advice. For instance, not a Ghanaian lawyer, I mean a lawyer called to the Ghanaian bar, cannot come to Nigeria to come and represent an accused person in a court. They can only give legal support to in-house Nigerian lawyer. The same way I cannot go to the United Kingdom to go and appear, the same way a United Kingdom called lawyer cannot come to Nigeria except he is first called to the Nigerian bar to appear for a person. So I think the best bet for this kind of case, I think, is that the Senegalese government should actually hold the diplomatic part and pay so much attention to that area and get their nationals out of the mess that they have gotten themselves into. So, but except that, actually they can receive any kind of punishment, even the highest one under the Moroccan law.
All
which
right.
Can be jail, which can be jail, which can be, of course, jail is actually the worst case scenario.
All right, Abiodun. Okay, we'll take a pause now and we'll go on a quick break. When we come back, we'll continue this conversation and get more insight surrounding what happened in the final of the AFCON. Thank you very much. We'll be back. All right, welcome back. You're still watching In the Game on News Central TV. Before we went on the break, we're talking about the arrests made by the Moroccan authorities of Senegalese fans, and of course being in custody in Morocco, and in the next few days they would appear in court. And we have sports lawyer Abiodun Sonaike giving us insight on what could possibly happen to these fans if they get to be found culpable, of course, and then punishment will follow. But Abiodun, I'd like to ask another question. Do foreign supporters actually enjoy specific legal protections during arrest and trial within the host country? And what international safeguards or diplomatic channels are available to them to seek redress? We know that these two countries are in the eyes of everyone now. There's Senegal, there's Morocco, and some would say it goes beyond just the arrest. It also affects the diplomatic ties if these two countries would come together. So what are the channels and possible ways these guys could, like you mentioned about the lawyers who you feel that they should stand in front of them, but what other avenues can, Senegal adopt to get these guys freed?
But, having been sanctioned by CAF, Senegal can actually approach CAF to try and broker peace, and of course, and also make it Morocco is also under the African Union. That's why I said that their best bet is actually using the diplomatic side area. The problem currently is that the offenses committed are outside, even though they are committed during a involvement, but they are outside the scope of the FIFA or CAF rules. And they were actually committed. It's the same thing like it would have been different if it is a person that is subjected to CAF rules that committed that offense. For instance, a player, an official. You saw that when a federation is only responsible for the action of their fans and can only be sanctioned for that. So that's why I started with the fact that having been sanctioned by CAF, the Senegalese Football Association can actually leverage on CAF's relationship with Morocco and probably African Union to try and break up peace and get their national out of that quagmire. But generally, under the law, what they did was actually in contravention to the Moroccan law, which the Moroccan law is not subjected to football law, and vice versa. Only that, it's one of these arguments that the people are making for the Russian FA, that FIFA should leave ban on the Russian FA because it is actually wrong for FIFA to be punishing the Russian FA for the action of it, for the political action of its government. So, because there's this advocacy that the law, as it were, national law, as it were, should be separated from the law of football. Football cannot, there are some things that football cannot adjudicate. And the fans actually are not subjected to CAF rules. It is their federation that is subjected to the CAF rule. It is the players that are subjected to the CAF rule. It is the officials that are subjected to CAF rules. So CAF cannot sanction the fans. So the law of Morocco is what can sanction the fans. But then the Senegalese FA can leverage on CAF, their relationship with CAF and Morocco's relationship with CAF to broker peace, and also make use of their diplomatic relationship through the African Union. I think that's the best bet to go with this thing. But outside that, there is no specific right, as it were, for football fans that differs from the moment you are granted a visa to enter a country for whatever reason, you are subjected to the law of that country as much as you are there, since you are not enjoying a diplomatic visa.
All right. Abiodun, you've given us, interesting angles to this story. Some questions were in my mind already, but of course, I think you've touched some of them because we've seen cases whereby fans cause violence in stadium, even in CAF games, even in Morocco, Algeria. And yes, CAF comes down hard on the federation with sanctions. Most of the times, maybe arrest has not been mentioned, but the federation bears the cost. And this time around, CAF also has clamped down on Senegal Federation for the violence from the fans, although the fans have been arrested by the government of Morocco. So what are the key lessons that national teams and traveling supporters can draw from this episode to minimize the risk of similar incidents at future international tournaments?
I know football is an emotional game. I know that what the fans did were at the heat of the moment. But number one thing is that when you are traveling, as a traveling fan, always remember that there are some things that you can do in your country and get away with, you might not get away with in another country. And then another thing is that you should understand that, if you are having a stadium ban and all that in your own country, you can actually get a deportation in another country. So for a traveling fan, you should actually stay within your limits. Don't drag too much international, because a federation can always make a plea for someone with a diplomatic visa. For instance, an NFF official. You are just a fan, you cannot compare yourself with an NFF official in a foreign tournament, because NFF will always come to get their person. If there is violence and talk, it is the diplomat that will first be airlifted or taken away. So mostly, when you are traveling as a fan, you should actually be very cautious and know also that you are taking a risk. So it's also some of these things that make me feel like when fans are lashing out at players for their performance, we shouldn't actually drag them too much, especially for a fan that traveled all the way, risks his life, spend his money, and then a player is saying, why should you be talking to me anyhow? This person also actually also took risk. Now, some of them are in detention now for a momentary hit of passion. Yes, I am not justifying what it, but it's actually the law for their country.
Okay.
Brought them here.
All right, Mr. Abiodun Sonaike, thank you very much. I mean, it was an interesting conversation, and we hope that whatever happens on the 12th, lessons would have been learned from the Senegalese fans and, of course, fans in Africa and across the world. Thank you very much for joining.
Thank you.
All right, Ibita, that was quite interesting. I mean, the angles surrounding the whole thing, ignorance is not an excuse. Yes, the emotions could fly and you want to take laws into your hand, but the technical aspect of, the federation, the fans may not be directly under the federation, but when the fans misbehave, CAF sanctions the federation. And the fans are still culpable under the law of the land.
Yeah. I learned a lot from the lawyer. I mean, he just said everything clear. Yes, you are subjected, when you get a visa, it says that I'm going to subject myself to the laws of this country. I'm going to, not the laws of my own land, because I'm in your country, I'm going to behave. Hence the saying, when in Rome, you do like the Romans. And I mean, it wasn't beautiful to watch. It was really, really bad to watch. The way some of those fans, I mean, you were aggrieved, whatever might have happened. Some of them jumped onto the pitch, and some of them vandalized some of those properties. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't, you have to pay for it. Someone has to pay for all these things. And so there were so many things going on at the same time, but those 18 they could get, they made sure they got those 18. They have become the scapegoats. And the law of the land will go through its normal phase. Okay. And like you rightfully said, it's only diplomatic channels that can get these people free, because I'm not saying they are guilty, but the video evidence we are seeing, it doesn't paint them in good light. And so they will hope, like I never even thought through that they can go through CAF as a CAF. Although the relationship between CAF and Morocco is strained at the moment now too. So, but they can still go through CAF and say, CAF, hey, help us here. These are our people. Okay, we promise that next time we won't have such occurrences. Okay. We do this. Whatever compromise will be made, I think Senegal will try and make it. I'm sure the president also will be looking to talk to the Moroccan counterparts and see how can we get my people out. I mean, that's the real solution.
All right, let my people go is the slogan now for Senegal.